Hi, my name is Jude. You can call me Navana, and I've spent a couple of years on AI with startups, agencies, even down to their clients. And I started this series because I believe everyone is tired about the whole AI hype online, where you see this new update, you receive this new thing, and at the end of the day, you just want to get your way around it to know at least what to do and what to start with. Which for me, like I said, is a very reasonable thing to think of when it concerns growth. And that was why I decided to put out this video out there for everyone to learn from. So this is basically the day 16 of the build on 5 layers of AI. And this is where I say most scenarios actually fail when it comes to building AI automations generally. By now, you might have built something for yourself, and I believe if you were there from the first day to day 15, we've been building together. For example, I believe the recent project you were able to do it very well, and for some of you, I'm pretty sure you started using this for yourself as well. 3 modules, and we had 6 parts. We had an AI classification, and we're able to build kind of like an automated email, right? Well, I can say congratulations to us. Congratulations to us. Here is the thing, though. This kind of build is going to break. And the thing behind this is that it's not going to break because of the logic is wrong. It's not wrong. Everything we've built so far is very strong. And it's not because of, make.com is not good or anything about that. Because in 3 weeks from now, for example, you might check this scenario and you have no idea what this module does and what the other one does. Because at that time, it's possible for you to have changed even your link. You'd have changed something. In just a few weeks, you'd have changed something. Or probably you already are using a separate email. And, from that point, you start wondering why most of the things you are building is getting mixed up. And that is because it is possible for this scenario to even fail at a couple of weeks now, and you'll not even know how it failed. If you are building this for a client, it's possible for you to not satisfy this client at the end of the day. And today, what I want to do is I want to just explain to you how we are going to fix this before something like this happens. So I'm going to talk about how we professionals build AI automations like this. When we want to set up a blueprint like this, I believe that there are steps that we take that is the reason why we're able to have something very strong, unlike beginners in AI automation, amateurs. And I believe every one of them that I'm going to explain here is very avoidable. None of them requires extra time. They just require the right habits from day one. I'm going to show you at the end of the day something like this would have happened, the same logic behind it. I will give you a contrast so that you are going to see the different experience that would have happened if you had decided to leave it the previous way, or you decide on using the new one I'm going to explain to you. So basically, I'm going to talk about the stats that nobody talks about. Now, most automation builds on an average abandoned within like 90 days, and it's not because it did not work initially, but it's because the person that built them could not maintain them very well. And it's also possible because a lot of clients are very curious. It's possible for them to have changed a form field, probably a very small thing, and from there the scenario will break down. And it's possible for the builder, the person who did it in the first place, to not even find the module that mapped that particular field. So in this case now, the person has to rebuild it from scratch. So, and it's possible for the second version again that they just rebuilt to have the same issue. Whoever is building automations should know that they're not just building simple automations. They are building a system that is meant to run for months, for years. And this is the same person that needs to know that whenever they want to fix it, they should remember every single detail about it, even without having to be there. They should remember every single detail about it, because I believe that people building automations are very busy as well. You probably have a couple of clients that you're working with. So how do you remember what is going on in client A's account to client B's account? There are a lot of things around this that you just need to know how to properly approach all this. Now, the first one I'm going to mention here is this. Let me share my screen. And yeah, so I also made ready a resource page for us today. I made ready this for us today, and you can read through. Basically, the first one I will point out is the no naming. Now, let's be honest, even I made the same mistake right here when I was explaining to you guys. Now, the idea behind this no naming is that if you leave your modules like this, the way all this looks like, Tally to Grok to Router to Gmail 1, Gmail 2, Gmail 3, Notion 1, 2, 3. If you leave it like this, it's quite okay. I mean, you just built this yesterday, right? Yes, it's fine. But a couple of months now, it's possible for someone else, another builder, should have access to this, probably wants to help the client, probably another builder from Upwork. And this person is trying to understand what you built in this whole place in the first place. So this thing is also the same with how developers actually work. When you write a code, you should make the code understandable to whoever is also on your team. This person should be able to come into the code or into the workspace and look through everything and understand, okay, this is what this is meant to be for. I remember back in the days when we were building websites using Webflow, and we were told to always give them classes. I think it was classes, right? So we were told to always give them classes, so it's possible, for you to know which is which. I think we had some child classes, parent classes, and various other things like this. In every industry, they have this kind of naming issue as well, and we have the same thing in automation as well. And that is where, when someone comes here, it's the person might understand the whole build. Anyone that is an expert or someone with experience should probably understand what is going on here. But that aside, they need to understand what exactly each module is going to do, they need to understand what exactly each module is doing. Now here, the naming idea is basically you being clear, which is saying you rename this rather than giving it just the tally. Say this is coming from the lead tracker form on Tally. Something as simple as this is actually okay. Now you save this, though it looks like it's a lot, but to be very honest, this helps a lot. This is the first thing that helps. The next thing, Grok, you can also rename. Grok is making a deterministic decision on 3 parts. Then you can probably put here, this is okay. This is actually okay. This is okay. I think I made a mistake somewhere here. Okay, so Grok, let's use Grok making a deterministic decision on 3 parts. So something as simple as this, and we give this something like email, send a booking link to hot lead. This one also access question, a qualifying question from warm lead. And what should we name this? This is the code one. Okay, I think the code one, we were sending free resources, right? Something as simple as send free resources to code lead. So something that explains basically what it's doing. Though this looks like a lot, when I thought about this, I felt this is just unnecessary stress, and it's something anyone should be able to understand. But at one point, I discovered we are all different. We are humans as well, and we are prone to mistakes. We are prone to having to make mistakes whenever we're building something. So it's best, and there's also a reason why, it was left there to be renamed in the first place. So why not take advantage of that to make something very clean like this? Now, in this case, you can try to imagine whoever comes here will understand what is going on right here. We can give this route makes the decision. So making a deterministic decision on 3 parts. Now router, okay, let me say router takes the decision to right part. So then the next thing we do, we've done that. Okay, let's see. As we can see, this is going through. Okay, second one goes through, third one goes through. Actually, this was what I was trying to do, to auto align. All right, yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, we get that already. All right, yes. So it has explained the flow. Anyway, now let's go back to what we're doing. So for this one, we should just probably name it the same thing. Create a lead. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Or did you make any decision about the Notion? Create a lead record. Yeah, basically creating a lead record. Creating a lead record. Creating a lead record. Creating a lead record. And also the same thing, creating a lead record. So what we have here is actually very explanatory. Creating lead record on Notion. I mean, it's very clear this is Notion though, but let's do that on Notion as well, and on Notion. Okay, what we have here is actually nice, and we could space it out a bit. I like giving them a lot of space because yeah, what we have here now looks good. Okay, what we have here now looks good. All right, so this looks okay. This looks like what a professional could actually build. I mean, to be very honest, when it comes to building an automation on Make.com or several other platforms, it's nothing more than just a couple of steps, just a few modules, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's very simple and it's very short. But understanding right from beginning what triggers and to the next is the main thing around building all this. Okay, I think we have all this in place. So when it comes to the naming, this was the problem. This was the first thing that we could have addressed immediately as we keep building this scenario. We should have started working on this, because that is the time that we understand what we're doing and we understand how to work across every single thing. And the next thing I'm going to do is also to name this particular scenario. So I'm going to call it the lead track update. Okay, I think this is good now. The lead tracker from Tally to Notion. So simple as that. So we have this in place now, and this is good. This is quite good. It's quite good. So when it comes to doing this, you can see that what we have this in place. This is something very, very, very good. So the next thing that we're going to address now is what I have here as notes. This is what I have here as notes. So basically what this is when you look at it, every decision that a builder, in this case, makes is in their head, but what it costs not just you but your clients or probably your team members is going to cost you a lot, because it's possible for that person to not understand what is going on still, despite the fact that you have all this set in place. Though you have named this, you've literally given them a name, each of them, but you still need to explain what exactly is going on within them. So what I'm going to do now, let us just reference from these resources, is that what to write in a note. Note this sends an email, for example. Okay, this should be from the, okay, add a note in Make.com, right click any module and add note to a sticky, blah, 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 blah. Sends an email to Hot Leads Alone. Keep body under 100, blah, 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 last updated by this. I mean, what you can see here is very straightforward. Now, what is going on here, like the example I gave in the first place here, analogy I gave, is that when people are building things together, or in a sense where when you have to build something for a client or for a team or for an agency, this is actually the process I take each time to ensure that even they could understand what I just built. Or if they want to also submit this to a client, they'll be able to explain what they did and everything will be in details. And it's possible for them to check back and adjust a couple of things based on the notes I've put in place. Now, what this is basically just saying is that for the one here, I can just right click this and I will add a note to this. Now, the note I'm going to add is basically saying I have one here which says sends booking email to Hot Leads Alone, keep body under blah blah blah, currently leak blah blah blah, if changing the link, update. This is just basically giving notes to anyone else that might be coming in to check what I've been building all this while. So I can update this with this Calendly link. I can just leave rather than Calendly link, since I use cow.com. Cow link is cow.com/avanaxjude. All right, so last updated on May this. Let's change it to today's day. Okay, well, let's just leave it now. Let's leave it on July 16th. All right, 2026. Jude right? So if changing the link, update this module and the one part qualifying, blah blah blah. So this is basically what it is saying. So when it comes to this, you know what, let me copy this over again. What I should actually put this on is not here, not here. This should be deleted, but here is I'm adding a note for whoever it is to change this link. I'm leaving this here. Now what am I trying to pass across here? I'm trying to pass across the fact that it is possible for us to, maybe in the future, the owner of this, probably a coach or anyone, wants to change this link, cow.com/NavanaXJude. Now in this case, if this person changes it, this person will always see this, telling the person to, if this person has changed probably is our booking link, they'll be able to come back here, and this exact place is where they just have to what, look for the body, the content, and just change the link here. So if I'm changing the link to NavanaXJude /agency core, it's as simple as that. So that is what this is basically doing. It's just you taking all these practices in place so that when you're working with a larger team, or you're working with agencies, when you're working with probably a company or an enterprise, they'll be able to see that what you are building, you are making it easier for them to adjust and to work on it. So this is basically what we are doing. That's basically what I'm trying to explain here. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is, we have this already, is the folders aspect. Now this one, to explain this using my current account might be a little bit tricky, because here is my scenario. Here are the scenarios I've been building all through to explain this layer 2 generally. So what is going on is that I have an organization where I have this for my team, and I have this for this particular series. I created Navana for this particular series. I created this is for my team. I have my team scenarios there, and this is for AI automation team as well. So this is also a separate team. So I have these two, they are separate teams. I created separate teams so that whatever we are building does not clash, basically. And that is because we are all using the same credits, we are all using the same build generally. So, and that is why I decided to work that way. Now, but you can try to imagine if in any case you are using one account and you're using it to build for a couple of problems, you're trying to solve a couple of problems, you could just create a folder. Now let's create this folder for lead tracker, right? For lead trackers. So in this case, I can create folder for lead tracker. Let me say, lead tracker, and I move this to lead tracker folder. I move this to lead tracker folder. I move this also, since this is also for lead tracker, to lead tracker folder as well. Now what is happening here is that I have my all scenario here, but I'm also able to track other scenarios. Let's assume this is for webhooks. I'm just using this as an example, but you can try to imagine if these are they are trying to solve different problems, and probably they are maybe for different clients, and you're having them all in one scenario. Webhooks, and I decide to add this on webhooks instead. Let's add this on webhooks. This is for webhooks, right? This is for webhooks. Move this, and this is also for webhooks as well, and we have this moved as well. So now you see that we are able to work only in lead tracker and also work only separately in webhooks as well. Now when you have something like this, to be very honest, if anyone, because most times when I work, if they have actually talked about this most of the time, that I am able to arrange these things very well. And this is also something I notice a lot of specialists out there, especially those that are making videos, tutorial videos on YouTube and several other platforms, are also using these steps for them to be able to understand. Because you can try to imagine, you have all your scenarios in one page and everything just looks like this. At one point, you don't understand what is going on. You don't understand what you are building anymore. You don't understand which is which. I can remember in the past, I had something like this. I had, because personally, for whatever I build here, every single one of my assets are actually connected to an automation or the other. When it comes to my websites, it's connected to an automation. The form there is connected to an automation. When it comes to cow.com, that's where I get my bookings. Okay, so I should have done this. Okay, it's also connected. Each one is connected to several other automations. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that when you have something as arranged as this, it's later becomes easier for you to navigate around this and to work with several teams as well. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is right inside the scenario, which is no error handling. Now, all this while, as we have been building this particular thing, we've not been adding an error handling model to this. An error handling model is basically, I'm actually meant to have a separate video on this, but I could still talk better on this because there's several error handling procedures. And the several ones, there's break, there is, let's just bring everything out here. So when it comes to error handling, this is actually very simple, though I'm still going to probably explain further because there's various procedures when it comes to error handling in make.com or anything. But basically, any module that carries very important data, the best thing you need to do is to add an error handling model to it. And everything here actually carries very important data. So what I do is, I'm going to make this look a little bit crazy now. What I do is you right click on this and you add an error handler basically. And the error handling model I had most of the time is let's retry now. Break. When last did I use this? Commit, resume, rollback. We don't have a break again. Skips and discards. Retry, saves, filled bundles to retry automatically. What I do most of the time is I just use the retry. So I use the retry, set the amount of time that I want to retry it. So what this is for is, let us assume in a scenario where probably there's something went wrong with our webhook, or probably we got disconnected, or maybe Tally's server had this very slight problem, and that was when our server was running or doing anything. It's possible for us to retry this same thing again. Now what I mean is this. I'm going to show you a very simple example working around this as well. So I'm going to retry this 3 times. You can set this as much as you want, 15 times. You can retry as long as 10,000. It can't go more than this, and it shouldn't even reach this in the first place. So minutes between retries, 15 minutes each time before retries. But what we're going to do this time, we're going to do 1 minute and save this. So this same thing you can also copy and paste here. Yes, thank you. Connect it to several other ones as well. So let's paste, and we do the same thing everywhere. See what happens when we walk around. Okay. All right. So we've added an error handler across every single module. Because to be very honest, most of it, or rather all of it, everything are very important because we have important data in every single one of them. So what we do now is I'm going to break this first one. Okay, so it wants me to do something. So this is what pops up right after. You'll be told to click on this, then process data in order, keep data confidential, store incomplete execution. Yes, store, keep data confidential, no, because if you do, this is what happens. It will just make it pause. It's as simple as that. But if you don't, you are able to store it and it's going to retry it by itself. Now, process data in order, no as well. This is what we're going to do. There is advanced as well, where you can do many more. But basically, to be very honest, you don't need as much as this. Just store incomplete execution. That is mostly what you do need. And click OK. Now, you've set it up for every single one of them. Now what is going to go on is that rather than we building this and breaking it any other way, I would say we best do this instead. Let's see if we can throw this off one way. Let's see if we can throw this off. Let's do this. Let's see. Value cannot be empty. D. And we saved it that way. Now you see what happens right after. You save this and we try to run it. We want to test how strong our error handler is. So we are retrying, and you can see now what happens here is that because we implemented the error handler, you can see rather than a red error, we can see this as a yellow error. This is just basically telling us 404 That's invalid request. What it's just basically trying to say is that it's basically like we have an API and it's not connected to it. Whatever we're trying to access, it doesn't exist. That is what is going on. Now, because of what we did, we have this and it saved the incomplete execution. What was meant to go round through to this, to the end, it saved it here to be able to try it again after 1 minute. That is what is basically happening here. So let's go out a bit and we see if it's going to try it after 1 minute. You can see it's saved here as incomplete execution and it's almost a minute now. In just few seconds now, it's going to retry itself once again and see if it's going to work. So let's just wait for a few seconds and it should go right about now. Okay, right about now. Now. All right. This should have worked. Okay, so I believe something is wrong. Let's just try to run it again. Let's see. I'm going to trigger it right outside by going to the tally system. Let's go here directly and trigger this. Because I believe because we used a trick around that was why it did not give us something that we're expecting. So we're going to use +81. Wow, thank you very much. That was very helpful. Enter valid phone number. Now you can see. Okay, I think this should work now, right? Please, this should work. Really, thank you. I need help from you. Let's see. All right, so we have this submitted and now we check here, we see it's running and it gave us an error as well. And the error was a success. Okay, all right, and it's going to run itself. Supposed to run itself. Now we have this, right? It's supposed to run itself again after a minute. And after a minute, let's see what's up. All right, so let's go right into it and see what is going on. So it's supposed to retry after 1 minute and it just did not. Let's see. So what is supposed to happen is on a regular day, it's supposed to come here, retry after 1 minute, and it's going to try it once again. Well, I believe it has done that, and that is why, because we're outside, we're not able to see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to check this error. Now, if you understand errors very well, that's where you get to know what is going on. But basically, if you don't, like this tells us to resolve it, let's try this out. I get to show you what is possible. So we have a record right here from the error we have. Yes, it tried it multiple times now. It has tried it once, it has tried this twice again. It's just not working. So in this way, what you are meant to just do is to directly check through to see what is going on. Invalid error, same thing. Let's go back to our scenario. All right, so that is where you start to debug and you get to see what is happening and why it gave you that issue. So this time around, we do what we're meant to do, check it around and see what went wrong. And wow, we've seen what went wrong. Just assume you've seen what went wrong. So, and we discovered that we added a module that was called D, and there's no module called D. So this time around, we need to pick the right one, which is versatile, right? So when we save this, that's just an example of, something breaking, basically. That's an example of something breaking. We could have the same thing here and several other places. We could even have the same thing probably coming from here instead. We could have something break here as well and try to fix it. So this is just what happens when you have an error handler. This is one of the most basic error handler, which what it just does, it stops whatever you are doing and it tries to run it again. Now, whatever it stops, what is stopping rather is not stopping the entire scenario. If any other detail, any other lead is coming through, it will still run it. If that one also faces the same problem, it's going to stop it and keep on counting from 1 to as much as the errors that you have. So you're a developer there, you have to do a huge chunk of work. And what we have here looks nice. However, we could arrange it and make it look better. So this is aligning it, and this is basically making it look better. I think I prefer the previous one, right? Let's stick with the previous one. I like this better. Thank you very much. So what we have here is just basically explaining error handler and how error handler works. And the second thing that it says here, okay, allow storing of, we've actually addressed this. And the next one is no documentation. Now, what it looks like is the entire system lives only in make.com, no external record of why it works or how to change it. What it costs this client, what it costs generally, is client dependency on you for every minor change. Now, the thing is that a lot of freelancers actually like this because you want your client to always come back to you when they need help or something breaks. But if you ask me, I'll be very honest with you, I'd rather put everything in place so something will not break in the first place. And if it ever breaks and I am not available, because it's possible for me to be busy with several other projects too, right? That can happen. Now, in this case, if this person has to hire someone or I recommend someone to work for this client or to work on that particular task, since I have everything documented, it's possible for this person to understand what went wrong and to be able to tweak around it. So having everything documented somewhere and having a documentation template is very simple. All you need is just something like this. Now, you need something as simple as this. This is the build documentation. You can save this in, most of the time now, I save it in a PDF or a .md. Actually, I save it in a .md. I've been doing that recently. And what you just need to do is to explain what this system does. So in 2 to 3 sentences, you can say an example here is automatically qualifies inbound leads from Tally form and sends a personalized email response and logs every single one of them into Notion database. So what we have here just basically explains every single thing. What triggers it? A form link, and you can add the form link there as well. Now the trigger is a webhook from Tally itself. Expected volume, X amount of leads every single week. Now you will just explain the flow from here, the step 1 to step 2 to the last step, which is probably step 5. So explaining it and what can break it and how to fix it. All these things are predictable. When it comes to delivering your final project, whatever you've built, probably your automation or your agent, to when we start building agents, this is a very simple template which you can use to follow and submit to whoever you are working for. Now, this particular thing makes you look like a professional to whoever you are working for, probably an agency or a particular client, a coach or a creator, anyone you are working with will see this and understand that you know what you are doing, you know what you built there. And in this case, if they really do need to have a retainer, I'm pretty sure they will have you as a retainer instead of several other people. So having to follow these practices is something that I believe you can take from now and always do. Just always be aware of this. This particular tutorial, you can save it, save this page, this Notion page somewhere, pin it somewhere close to you. So it's something you can always refer to and work on every single time. Because I believe that if you're able to follow all this, there is no one out there that can challenge you for breaking something or doing something that you are not actually professional. So in this case, you get to hear that what most clients trust you without even telling you. When they see something like this, they get to trust you. So all these are just procedures you take in place. They're just things I decided to drop together for you to, document, just, deliver this whenever you want to do any client handover generally. So clients who understand their own system are more likely to pay retainers. That was basically what I put here. Because they see you build something, they want to keep running. It's as simple as that. So the module naming convention, well, the form or events name, these are just based on what I did here, how I named every single thing here. So that is the same process that you can also use here. The action types, these are just things that you can go over. I'm pretty sure you understand what the trigger, what the events name, what it does. That's a lead tracker, and that was basically what I used here. From lead tracker form on Tally. So that's basically it. And the AI module, what it does, and I explained what it makes a deterministic decision on 3 parts. So that's the auth, the warm, and the code, right? And several others. So this is what you're going to do, because you're going to be using this particular study every single time. So I'll tell you to pin it. I'm going to pin this as well. Do I have my pin here? Nope, I have my pin somewhere else. Let's pin it here. Okay, so I've pinned that already. So I'm also going to be using the checklist for anything I'm building as well. So I built this checklist for you to use every single time you are building an automation. The first thing, when you want, before you deliver any scenario or any build, any blueprints to any client, just ensure you would pass all these checklists. The first thing you do is you check the naming convention. Every module needs to have a custom name, no default name like Gmail. No. Before you submit, you might have built everything. The same thing we did here. We were busy with building for a couple of days before we realized when we were missing a lot of things and we needed to start building and adjusting across it. So the same way we did here, once you are done, before delivery, every single time, start naming every single thing like this. Now you can see this looks beautiful. We can have this, name every single module, all names follow type to tool to purpose format. The scenario name includes the client's name and system's purpose. An example here is lead tracker from, you can say this is for Jude's AI automation programs lead tracker from Tally to Notion. Basically, you can just leave it. Let's use this. This looks better. So we can have this in place and check the several other ones. Text scenarios are clearly marked sandbox or text. Yes, you can just you might as well write it right in front or probably right after if you can see it, and name it something like sandbox or test. Why you should do this is in case you are working with a team, these are things that you can do so they get to understand you are still testing this or you are still working on this. So there are several other things that you need to ensure that you put in place so that when you want to deliver and in the future, in a couple of weeks after, you still understand what you've built and the whole idea behind that, and in just few minutes you'll be able to go back in, make any changes and update anything that comes up. So a total of 18 checks. Once you go through all these, I'm pretty sure that your scenario is ready to ship. You can send this to a client and I believe that whoever it is going to be very impressed. Here is a 3 a.m. test. Now, before calling any scenario done, you can ask yourself, if this breaks by 3 a.m., my client calls me, can I identify the problem in under 60 seconds? This is something you should actually ask yourself. I was told one time, though this is concerning this kind of educational settings, there was this lady, it was very, very, very intelligent, right? Well, that was how we saw her. And she mentioned something. She's a lady now, but she was a little girl then, as I was a little boy as well. So her mother actually mentioned something, saying whenever she calls her kid at night, if she wakes her up at night and she asks her a question, she's able to get the answer in just few seconds. And we're like, wow, that's very impressive. Now you can see the same thing happen here now. If in any case your client wakes you up and tells you whatever you are working or whatever you had there had an issue or there's something wrong, are you able to direct the client to do what is meant to do? Or are you able to tell the client not to worry, that in just under 3 minutes you'll be able to resolve this, or 5 minutes, or will you be able to address this effectively? Now, one of the things I said here is, can you read every module name and know exactly what it does? By 3 a.m., your brain is foggy. So, and this is something this client uses for their business. So it needs to be active at that moment. Now, the other thing is, can you open the execution log and find the error without having to guess? Can you understand what the broken module was supposed to do? All these things, if your answer is yes, then I can believe that you've passed every single thing that I've been working on all this while. But if your answer is no, you need to rename the 3 modules and add a note. It's very simple. If your answer is no, you need to be able to go through all this and add a note to each one of them. So it becomes something very easy for you that when something breaks, for example, we use this, be able to check, it seems like this client changed, probably this was where the error came from. So we see and we are like, okay, this is where the client changed the link. So we need to go back to this place and also change the link or something. It's as simple as that. It's that simple. So in this case, I want you to follow today's tasks, which is everything I've done today. I want you to also do the same thing for what you built, your digital receptionist as well. This is my own here, and I'm going to is my digital receptionist, but I call it Jude's AI automation program But let's just make it digital receptionist. So I have this in place now, digital receptionist, and just ensure you do the same thing I just did in this particular video. And yeah, I mean, we're done. We're basically done with that. We are basically done. So if you find this helpful, if you found this helpful and you want to build yours, check the resource guide in the description and follow it, and you should be able to actually build yours around it. If you saw this video by chance, this is a part of the series where in every day for the next 60 days, I'm going to explain the whole 5 layers of AI. So you stay up to date right from the release of AI to the public in 2022. And I believe you are still early, so you can follow along and stop chasing the AI hype and every new update that you see online. Tomorrow we are going to address that should be day 7, routers and logics. Now what that does is that we're going to go deeper into the router module. We're going to set in multiple conditions to understand the complex branching and use a real scenario with more than 3 parts to understand how to build around that. So I'm going to see you tomorrow and have a nice day.